In this lesson, we're going to talk about how to convert a percent into a fraction. So let's start with 38%. How can we convert this into a fraction? Well, you need to know that 38% is equivalent to 38 divided by 100. Percentages are based out of 100. Now, once you have this fraction, all you need to do is reduce it. Both numbers are even. So what you can do, if you want, is you could break down 38 into 19 times 2. If you divide 38 by 2, you're going to get 19. 100 is 50 times 2. Now notice that we can cancel a 2. So that fraction reduces to 19 over 50. And that's how you can convert a percentage into a reduced fraction. Now there's a lot more different examples that you need to be exposed to, and this is just one of them. But for the sake of practice, go ahead and work on this one. Convert 45% into a simplified fraction or reduced fraction. So let's follow the same process. First, let's write it as 45 over 100. Now, all we need to do at this point is we need to reduce the fraction. Whenever you see a number that ends in 5 or 0, that means that it's divisible by 5. It turns out that 45 is 9 times 5, and 100 is 20 times 5. You could find the numbers 9 and 20 by dividing 45 by 5 and 100 divided by 5. You'll get the 9 and 20. But we can cancel a 5, and that's as far as we can go. So 45% is equivalent to 9 over 20 as a reduced fraction. And this is the answer for that example. Go ahead and try these two. Convert 25% into a reduced fraction and do the same for 36%. So let's start by writing this as 25 divided by 100. 25 is 5 times 5. 100 is 20 times 5. So we can cancel a 5, and we can reduce it further. So right now we have 5 over 20. It turns out that 20 is 5 times 4. So we can cancel a 5 as well. 5 divided by 5 is 1, so when you get rid of the 5 on top, replace it with a 1. And therefore, 25% is equivalent to 1/4 as a simplified fraction. Now, let's do the same thing with 36%. Let's write it as 36 over 100. Now, 36 is 9 times 4. 100 is 25 times 4. So we can cancel a 4, and we're left with just 9 over 25. And that's the answer. So 36% is equivalent to this fraction. So now you know a simplified way of converting percentages into fractions. Now sometimes you may have a percentage that exceeds 100. And when you have those, you can convert your answer to an improper fraction, or sometimes you may need to convert it to a mixed number. So here's an example. Convert 140% into a fraction. So 140% is basically 140 divided by 100. Now the first thing we need to do is reduce the fraction. 140 is 14 times 10. 100 is 10 times 10. So we can cancel a 10. But we can reduce it further. 14 is 7 times 2, and 10 is 5 times 2. So we can get rid of a 2. So as an improper fraction, 140% is 7 divided by 5. Now we can convert this into a mixed number. 7 is basically 5 plus 2. Now let's keep the denominator the same. 5 divided by 5 is 1. So we have 1 plus 2/5. So as a mixed number is 1 and 2/5. Now granted, you could use long division to convert an improper fraction to a mixed number. But sometimes you may need to report your answer as an improper fraction. Other times you may need to report as a mixed number. So we're going to do it both ways. Now go ahead and try this one for practice. Convert 280% into an improper fraction and a mixed number. So let's divide it by 100. 280 is 28 times 10, and we know 100 is 10 times 10. 28 is 14 times 2, and 10 is 5 times 2. So therefore, our answer as a reduced improper fraction is 14 over 5. Now let's convert that into a mixed number using long division. 5 goes into 14 two times. 5 times 2 is 10, and 14 minus 10 is 4. So since 5 goes into 14 two times, we're going to have a 2 as a whole number, and the 4, the remainder, will be the numerator of the mixed number, and 5 will remain the denominator. So 14 over 5 is basically 2 and 4/5 as a mixed number, which equates to 280%. Here's another example, 335%. Let's convert that into a fraction. So take a minute, pause the video, and try that. So let's divide it by 100 first. Now 335 is divisible by 5. If you divide it by 5, you're going to get 67. So we can write it as 67 times 5, and 100 is 20 times 5. Now we can't really break down 67 into anything. 2 doesn't go into it, and 3 doesn't go into it either. So we can't break it down into anything useful. So therefore, we're going to leave our answer as an improper fraction just like that. Now let's convert this into a mixed number. So I'm going to break it down into 60 and 7 because 20 goes into 60 nicely. 60 divided by 20 is 3. So it's 3 plus 7 over 20. And here's the answer as a mixed fraction. 3 and 7, 20. And so that's it. That's all you got to do. Now other times you may need to convert a percentage into a fraction where the percentage is less than 1. It's a decimal value. So it's like a very small number. Let's convert 0.15% into a fraction. So let's start with the same technique. Let's divide it by 100. Now 0.15 is a very small number. So let's make it larger by multiplying the top and the bottom by 100. Notice that 0.15 goes to the hundreds place. So to get rid of the decimal, you want to multiply by 100. 0.15 times 100 is 15. 100 times 100 is 10,000, but I'm just going to leave it as 100 times 100 for now. Now 15 is 5 times 3. And one of the 100 values, I'm going to write it as 20 times 5. So I can get rid of a 5. So I'm left over with a 3 on top. On the bottom, 100 times 20. If you have $120 bills, you have $2,000. So our answer is going to be 3 over 2,000. That equates to 0.15%. Here's another example. Convert 0.025% into a fraction. So first, let's write it over 100. So this is 0.025 divided by 100. Now, in order to turn 0.025 into a whole number, we need to multiply the top and the bottom by 1,000, because the last number is in the thousandth place. 0.025 times 1,000 is simply, you just got to move the decimal 3 units to the right. So that's going to be 25. And on the bottom, just going to rewrite 100 times 1,000. Now 100, we can write that as 25 times 4. We're not going to do anything with 1,000 for now, but notice that we can cancel the 25. Now 1,000 times 4 is 4,000. So the final answer is 1 divided by 4,000. So that equates to that number that we had in the beginning. Now sometimes you may have a percentage presented to you as a mixed number. For example, 32 and 1/3%. How do you convert that into a fraction? Well, let's start with the same process. Let's take this number and divide it by 100. Now what you want to do is you want to convert the mixed number into an improper fraction. To do that, multiply 32 by 3, which is 96, and then add 1, that's 97. So 32 and 1/3 is going to be 97 divided by 3. The denominator stays the same. Now 100, I'm going to write that as a fraction. 100 is equal to 100 over 1. So we have this fraction divided by this fraction, which we can write that expression as 97 over 3 divided by 100 over 1. Now using the keep, change, flip principle, we can keep the first fraction the same, change division to multiplication, and flip the second fraction. Now 3 doesn't really go into 97, and 97 seems like a prime number to me. 2 doesn't go into it, 5 or 7 doesn't go into it, so there's nothing that we can cancel. So we just have to multiply across. 97 times 1 is 97. 3 times 100 is 300. And therefore, this is the answer. It's 97 over 300. So that's 32 and 1/3 of a percent. Not of a percent, but 32 and 1/3%. And that's what I meant to say.